What if I told you that one simple hug once saved entire forests? Yes, not a protest with violence, not a law from the government, but just a hug. A hug that shook the world and taught humanity one of its most beautiful lessons. When you protect nature, nature protects you. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. A peaceful morning in a small Himalayan village. The air is crisp, the birds are singing, and the trees stand tall like guardians of the mountains. Suddenly, you hear the sound of axes. The loggers have arrived to cut down the forest, the lifeline of the people, and then something incredible happens. A group of villagers, mostly women, run toward the trees. They don't scream. They don't fight. They simply wrap their arms around the trunks and refuse to let go. "You'll have to cut us before you cut these trees," they say. That single act of courage became known as the Chipko Movement, one of the most powerful environmental movements in human history. The word Chipko means to hug or to cling. It began in the 1970s in the Uttarakhand region of India, led by villagers like Gaura Devi and inspired by Sundarlal Bahuguna and Chandi Prasad Bhatt. But here's what made it truly special. These weren't environmental scientists or politicians. They were ordinary people, farmers, mothers, daughters, who realized that if they lost their trees, they would lose their lives. The forests gave them water, firewood, shade, and soil fertility. The trees were their silent companions, and they stood up to save them. Their message was simple. Ecology is permanent economy. In other words, if nature dies, no economy can survive. Now let's pause for a second and look around us today. Fast forward 50 years, the world has changed dramatically. We have smartphones, smart homes, and smart cities. But we are forgetting the smartest truth of all. That without clean air, pure water, and healthy forests, none of it matters. The Chipko movement wasn't just a protest. It was a revolution of awareness. It taught us that you don't have to be powerful to make a difference. All you need is courage, conviction, and compassion. Let's talk about Gaura Devi, one of the most inspiring women in history. In 1974, when the loggers came to cut down the trees near the village of Reni, the men were away. Gaura Devi gathered 27 women and confronted the armed contractors. With her fearless spirit, she told them, "This forest is our mother's home. You'll have to shoot us before you cut her down." The men, stunned by her courage, backed away. That day, the trees of Reni were saved, and the world heard the echo of that resistance. Now think about it. How many of us would have the same courage today? Would we be willing to risk our comfort, our safety for the sake of the environment? Today, the fight for the planet is not fought in forests alone. It's fought in our cities, in our schools, in our homes, and in our choices. Every plastic bottle we throw away, every tree we cut, every drop of water we waste, it all adds up. And every small act of kindness, planting a tree, using a cloth bag, saving electricity, that too adds up. The spirit of the Chipko movement still lives on, in every person who stands up for nature. In fact, the movement's lessons are more relevant now than ever. We're witnessing floods in places that never saw rain before. We're breathing polluted air that shortens lives. Our glaciers are melting, rivers are drying, and seasons are shifting. Scientists keep warning us, but maybe what we need isn't more data, but more heart. That's what the Chipko movement gave us. Heart. It showed that empathy can be mightier than power, and love for nature can defeat greed. If those women could stand up with nothing but their courage and save forests, can't we at least stand up with our voices and protect our planet today? Let's start where we are. Let's Chipko not just to trees, but to the values of respect, care, and responsibility. It tells us, don't wait for change. Be the change. So let's revive that spirit today. Let's make Chipko not just a movement of history, but a movement of our hearts. If those villagers could hug trees to protect life, we can surely hug this earth to protect tomorrow. Let's make this promise together, to live in harmony with nature, to take only what we need, and to give back more than we take. Because the real success of humanity is not measured by how many buildings we raise, but by how many forests we preserve. And remember, the hug that